Hey everybody, Zuri here, and boundaries. I don't know about you, but it's something I find is so critical to having a balanced, joyful, and sane life. And for some of us, they're easier and harder uh, than for others. And I don't know if you're like me, if you're someone who wants to be supportive to others, who's helpful, who's caring, sometimes boundaries can be difficult and challenging to have and to maintain. And so there's two parts of boundaries. The first part is actually determining what they are. And I realize that's a journey in and of itself because sometimes we just get sucked in to the patterns of life and life's demands and what people are demanding of us that we just react and go along with it. And have you actually stopped to think about, wait, what are my needs? Go back to that needs discussion. And with those needs, what boundaries do I need to carve out for my family, what have you? And I've had to take stock on that. And I've had to take stock on that multiple times, especially in the pandemic, because boundaries have shifted and I've had to realign. And so, for example, one area that I have admittedly gotten good at setting boundaries is is with work and teams and projects and realizing where I need to carve out time for myself because I cannot be everything to everyone at all times. And I thought I was Superwoman, but let me tell you, I'm not. and um, at one point, I felt, you've heard me talk about this, like super productive, and it was great, and was on Zoom calls 8 hours a day, and it felt amazing, and blah, 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 blah. I was getting so much done. And I literally was collapsing at the end of the day. And I realized it was time to re-navigate some boundaries. And so we get to create that for ourselves. We get to say, this is where I draw the line, where I'm not doing a call before such and such a time, or I'm not doing a call after a certain time, or taking appointments or making appointments. And it's so important um, at work, at home, what we're doing for our partners, for our kids, for others, where you get to say, nope, this is mommy's time, or this is time, this is parent time, whatever that looks like. So first of all is, are you actually taking some time and give yourself the time to figure out what are the boundaries that you need to set? Some of them we already have, we just need to reinforce them, but some of them I invite you to think about so you can create new boundaries. And you have permission to create new boundaries for yourself as they come up and you see fit. Then the second part is, of course, once you create boundaries, is you've got to reinforce them. And there's no point of having a boundary if you don't actually stick to it. And it instead of the exception sometimes becomes the norm. The exception should always be a rare, if ever, exception. If you're not going to do something, or if this is your time, let that be your time. Because here's the thing: we have we have unconscious agreements with people. We are always in agreement. And so sometimes we set agreements that let people know, oh, I'm going to say this is my boundary, but it's okay for you to come up with this reason or this or that and cross it, and I will break my boundary for you. There's a lot of times moms have many unconscious agreements with their kids. We try and set boundaries, but if you do this, if you wail, if you do this and this, I'm going to break my boundary. And the kids learn that, and then we get set in these cycles that no longer serve us. So sticking to the boundary is the hard part, is the super tough part. But what happens when you're doing that is you're not just gifting yourself the grace of actually being able to receive from whatever it is, that boundary that you've set, but you're also retraining these agreements. You're shifting the relationships that you have with others. Now, I know for some that shifting might actually is B, why we don't create it. Because we're afraid, oh my gosh, what are people going to think? Are they going to judge us? Are they not going to like me anymore? Are they not going to love me anymore? But I encourage you to think about, but what is the price you're paying by not setting those boundaries? And what are the challenges that you are experiencing? And then might even with others. Are you setting up codependent relationships? Are you not empowering others to give them the space to actually rise up to where you need them to step up? Whether that's colleagues, family members, friends, etc., because you keep allowing this boundary to be broken. So that's one thing, is think about what is the cost that you're paying for that. The other thing to think about is, if you, and here's where we get deep, if you are not maintaining those boundaries for yourself, why is that? What are you getting out of not maintaining those boundaries? Because when we don't do the things that we actually want to do and say we need to do and want to do, there's something you're getting out of that. And here's where it takes, looking at the hard picture. So for example, with work, when I was breaking my boundaries of letting people take meetings, when I was carving out time where I said I will not do more than 2 meetings back to back, and then I have to give myself a break. But then people would say, oh, but this was important. I just need this. I just need this. And so I would take those meetings. What was I getting out of it? Because when I broke my boundary, I was getting something out of it. And so that's where you got to get deep and honest with yourself. And for me, what I was getting out of it was I was feeling important, but they need me. I'm the only one who can give this information. My work is so valuable. My knowledge is so valuable. That's why I'm willing to give that, because I was getting filled by that. But like I said, is that worth the cost that you're paying? The cost of exhaustion, the cost of burning out, the cost that keeps building up. And so when all you got to do is switch that to realize, oh, it's not. And my worth and value is not from others, is from myself. And I don't need to get that from others. I don't need that validation. I don't need that external value. And when we get to that point, that's when it gets amazing, because creating and setting the boundaries gets so much easier. So let me hear from you. What are some of the areas where you were struggling to either create the new boundaries or to maintain the boundaries that you're trying to set? Because it is possible. We can get there. And what's on the other side when you do set and maintain the boundaries? Oh my gosh, you get to take care of yourself. You get to get the rest, the resuscitation, or the enjoyment that you're looking for, because you do deserve it. It is waiting for you. And that's what we're really trying to create with the Her Evolution. And if you're finding where there are times where it is a little tough, that's work that I really go deep with my clients. And we look to understand why, and why are we maintaining some of those unconscious patterns. So keep on the lookout. I've got some good stuff coming with that. But in the meantime, let me know, where do you create some and maintain some good boundaries? And what are some of the ones that are a little bit of a struggle? Would love to hear about that, and we can just keep diving in. But until next time, wishing you a great rest of the week, and I invite you, set a new boundary and maintain it. Bye.